Hi, guys. Thanks for joining the Elation podcast today. Well, we are with Jennifer Rowe. How are you?
I am doing very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's good to have you on today. I experienced Folk Alliance for the first time this year, and it was pretty amazing. All kinds of things I'd like to talk about with it, but how did it go on your side?
It went really well. We had about the number of people we expected, a little bit of growth over the previous years. I believe on site we had a little over 2,600 people. New Orleans is an amazing city. We were there in 2020, and to be able to do the conference again in your city was a pure pleasure. And we're going to be back in 2030 and 32. So I'm excited about New Orleans. But it was a great event.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like it fits very well for what you guys do. I mean, it's a great hub for music, obviously creators, and also I feel like gathering here is very easy, getting people together.
It is, and the history that New Orleans has regarding music is unlike most cities. So having that ability to just tap into the culture of your city, I think, adds value to our conference.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I, what amazed me, I think, about the conference was the way you showcased all of the different bands in the hotel rooms. I mean, walking through the hallway and you're experiencing it's almost like Bourbon Street. You're experiencing a different creative moment in every hotel room, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, we had 8 hotel rooms that were transformed into small venues and full production stages. It's really impressive the work that's done behind the scenes to make that happen. It is 162 bands presented, performed during those 4 nights. What I love about Folk Alliance is if there's some music that doesn't really fit you or feel your vibe, you can just walk down the hallway and find some other music. There's just a great discovery and a lot of variety of music being played. And I think that's one of the misconceptions about folk music is people assume it's this really narrow thing when in reality folk music is incredibly wide.
Well, I think it probably grows more and more every year because there's more independent artists every year. So
Yeah,
if it's music of the people, it's every independent artist, really.
Yeah, music of the people is going to sound different depending on who you are and where you're coming from. So knowing
Correct.
that music of you and your people is telling your story and being able to share in community what you're about and what your music is about.
What is that conversation like when you call a hotel and say, "Hey, I would like you to remove all the beds and everything out of 8 rooms and make it completely empty so that I can rearrange it as a
Well,
production studio?"
to be clear, the bedroom removal is more than 8. That's like about 50 rooms that we
Wow.
clear bedrooms out of the guest rooms. And that's conversations before we even go to hotel. That's part of our request for proposal
I'm
process.
sure, but I'm sure that's something that's not an easy conversation to have in the beginning with these hotels.
No, and it's expensive, frankly. It's really expensive. The actual cost of removing a bed is about $500 a bed. And
Wow.
that's something because not only do they have to remove it, they have to store it in a guest room. And we pay for those guest rooms that are full of beds and no people
Wow.
are sleeping in those. So it's just logistics like that that people don't quite understand and realize the massive amount of work that's put in it from our perspective as the organization, and then the hotel is doing massive amount of work as well. Of course, we were at that hotel in 2020, so they knew what to expect.
So knew what to
And
expect, right?
yeah, exactly. But we're going to Chicago next year, and we're meeting with the hotel in a couple weeks. Of course, they know, they agreed, the contract's written, you will remove
It's
the bed. So,
that's awesome. Well, no, but that's something you never really think about. But you guys basically created a festival inside the hotel. It's pretty amazing.
it is, and
Um,
yep.
yeah, no, no, please go ahead.
No, I mean we do this every year. That's one of the beautiful things about Folk Alliance is we have the ability to just transform this really boring space into something magical, and have everybody in the same roof. And I think people often question why we do it in just one hotel, and part of that is around the logistics of making sure that the folks that are in that space have time to go from room to room, so that we're not losing people to different venues throughout the city, which is great. Like, we love to encourage venues. That's an incredibly important part of our ecosystem. But we do that primarily to make sure that folks have the opportunity to see as much music as possible during those 4 to 5
Yeah,
days.
no, and I think if you did it at multiple venues too, you might get where people get stuck and stopped at one venue and
Yeah.
didn't get to experience everything else,
Yes.
just because they were having such a good time in one venue. But if you're forcing everybody to kind of walk around and experience everything, you kind of get the full spectrum of that.
Yes.
But I was blown away by the organization of it and the whole setup and the registration. Everything was professional. It's hard pressed to find a music conference down here that truly operates like a professional foundation and system. A lot of times it's kind of all over the place, or it's local groups gathering to do things, but it's not as set up like a festival. So it was
Yeah.
pretty amazing to see.
Thank you. We do have to be really scrappy as a team as well. So we try to put those professional systems in place, but understand our budget is very limited. So we do things as cost efficient as possible.
Right. No, it makes sense. Well, so how did you get into doing all of this? Like, what was the start of all of this?
Well, my path is not a straight line by any means. I actually randomly met the executive director at the time, Louis J. Myers, when he was looking for office space in 2013 or 2012 when they moved from Memphis to Kansas City. Louis was one of the founders of South by Southwest. And so we have that connection. He was one of the four founders, and he sold his share, I think, in the mid 90s, and then eventually started working for Folk Alliance in the early 2000s. And so I met him and started doing contract work. I owned a small business with a business partner doing high-end administrative supports, and Folk Alliance became one of my clients. And then when Angus Finnan became our executive director in 2014, he asked me to join full time. At that point, I love this community. It didn't take very long to fall in love with this community, but when I first met Lewis, I didn't know what folk music was. I had that preconception of folk music as a guy with a guitar and maybe a cat in the background. Like that was my idea of maybe a banjo.
I'm not gonna get able to get that image out of my head now.
but as I looked back, it was many years into this job, I found out when I gave birth to my first child 23 years ago, a band that I was listening to in the birthing room was actually a band that eventually went through Folk Alliance in a few years after I gave birth to my child. So this is music I was already listening to. I just didn't realize that it fit within this space. But I did not start in music. I actually started on Capitol Hill in working for a senator from Kansas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that isn't a straight line, but
No.
straight lines are boring, so we don't want that anyway. But it's funny. Creed Higher was playing when my first son was born, and I remember looking up at the doctor. I'm like, cool, like I like that. My son being born to Creed, I'm cool with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny how those moments stick in your head. My wife was like, "Why are you listening to music?"
Why not?
Well, why not? I mean, it's you're going through it, not me. Um,
Although
but
I do think that she should be responsible for the playlist.
yeah, right.
Well,
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think that should be the new thing. Mothers should get to pick the playlist. I
they
I, I
should.
don't disagree.
It's like the car. Whomever's driving the car gets to decide what's on the
I
radio, right?
agree. I agree. Although the doctor probably is driving the car at that moment. I hope she's not that doped up driving a car.
That's
So,
valid.
but 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 that being said, Capitol Hill, what was that like? Like what were you advocating for or doing on Capitol Hill?
Well, I was young. I was 21. I was an intern, worked on Capitol Hill, and then eventually got a job. And I worked for the majority leader of the Senate. And then eventually he ran for president. So I worked on his presidential campaign in 1996. For those that want to put it together, I worked for Senator Bob Dole of Kansas. And he ran against Clinton. And it's really interesting. So for a long time, I shied away from stating my history because my politics have changed drastically in the last 20 some years. But really, what that gave me is understanding what happens on Capitol Hill. And as an arts organization, Folk Alliance, we do advocate for arts, and we have been on Capitol Hill and met with senators to promote approval of different arts legislation. So I've been able to be on the other side of the table, and it's really fun to go back to Washington, D.C. In this capacity as opposed to working on Capitol Hill. And then, I also did all the lobbyist stuff and all that fun stuff. But most of the stuff I did was for agriculture, and I could not point out a soybean plant to save my life. So I'm not really sure that helped much in my career.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, but politics should be an ever-changing situation because I don't think you should stick to one side no matter what. It should be whatever the politics are at the present moment that you feel are important. I mean, and so wherever that navigates you to is where you should stick.
Well, and I
So
think
the fact that you change is a good thing, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, evolving is good. Understanding
Yes.
that, I think evolving for me was about meeting new people and realizing that there's more perspective in the world than what I was narrowly seeing at that time. So for me, it's been a real journey to understand that there are more people out there, and I think that's exciting. And I also think it's really important from a political lens to look at things individually and not from a party perspective, and think about what your views are individually on each policy, because most people don't see the same things, and that's okay. You don't. Yeah. But
Everybody's got their own life experiences, and you have to learn from everybody's different life experiences. So the more people you meet, the more life experience you end up getting.
yes, and listen to those people, listen to
Right.
their experiences, and validate what their experience is real.
100%. Well, and there's a lot of communities in music that need help and uplifting and being able to continue to create music, because it's harder and harder to create music when you're working.
It's really well right now. It's really hard to create music in general, and the economy and the music industry and the arts industry as a whole has really been hurt. Over the last several years, especially since the pandemic, and I felt like we were getting out of things, and then shit happened again. Can I say like
Yeah,
things
yeah,
just hit the
absolutely,
fan?
absolutely,
This past year, it's
absolutely.
been pure chaos, and uh, you know,
Yeah.
and and it's for us as an international organization, we see that very clearly with our international artists not being able to come into this country as easily. It's been a challenge for a long time to get a visa application. Going through the Biden administration increased the fees by I think 300%. And
Wow.
then the lapse of or the amount of time it takes to get your application through is not does not make it possible for many of these artists to come because they are required then to pay additional application processing fee that's like a few $1,000s. So the cultural exchange is not happening as it happened in the past, and I think that's really unfortunate for everyone in this country. I think we're missing out on the opportunity to hear music from all over.
So before the Biden administration, it was easier to come in,
Oh, it was less expensive.
less expensive, right?
Less expensive. But the time to process an application has been problematic for a long time. I've been with this organization for over a decade, and
Right.
I'm hearing, I mean, the problems have been there 10 plus years ago, and they continue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now because they have not done the comprehensive immigration reform we keep hearing that we're going to get at some point. It just never gets done completely. Is
Yeah.
always little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Kind of, it definitely sucks. I mean, I can understand that. I think also it's tougher to make money in music nowadays than it was. How do you feel about well, two questions actually. How does Folk Alliance blend the content creation model for an artist nowadays? Because you kind of have to be both now. You kind of have to be the artist as well as the actor.
Yeah.
So how does Folk Alliance blend any of that?
I think you have to acknowledge that the world is ever evolving, and the way that people are consuming music and learning about your music is changing. And what we do to address that is to make sure that we have panels, workshops, programming at our conference and year round that supports artists in that development or their teams in that development. That's one thing that we're very proud of the programming work that we have. I don't know if you had the opportunity to see any of the panels during the day, but there is a lot of educational components of that, and being realistic about making sure that you're changing and addressing all these different variables, because it is changing and it's going to
Right.
continue to change.
Yeah, and I feel like it's funny, I feel like we music's been through so many changes that we really don't even know where we're at right now as far as stable money in the industry, because we went through the streaming situation. I feel like we had started to figure it out at least a little bit. And now this has come to my second question, is the AI situation. How does Folk Alliance see AI in music and support the artists through it?
Well, we are a part of a group that advocates for artificial intelligence legislation or stopping, or if there's some type of comment needed from the federal registry, for example, we will join those comments, and typically in encouraging oversight. When you have a new thing like artificial intelligence coming on, there's very little regulation happening right now.
Yeah, right. Who
And
owns what, right?
no, exactly. So
Yeah.
we need to make sure that we're ahead of that, or at least like keeping up to pace with it. I don't think we'll ever be ahead of it, frankly, because it's moving so
No.
fast. But it's important to protect our creatives and make sure that there is at least compensation if someone is going to use their resources, their songs, their music. Then there needs to be compensation on the use of those of that
I agree, and I
intellectual
also
property.
think we have models to use. I mean, sampling is it's just done on a different scale now. So I mean, there's a model for it. You just have to enhance it and reform it in a sense. So I feel like we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just take what we have and manipulate it to work with artificial intelligence.
Oh, I agree. It's available. It's out there. The industries that are using the materials, I think, are trying their best to get away with it until they're forced
Well, yeah,
to
the gray
pay.
market is always where everybody
Yep,
wants to make their money before the regulation comes, right?
exactly.
And then you get a few companies that fit in the regulation that take over and just handle it. But
Yep.
it's all the little minions that make money in the gray market?
Hmm. Yep. That's where we are right now.
Do you see any good positive uses for it in the industry?
I mean, I have definitely heard folks talk about the use of AI for various things. I mean, using AI to help understand, or to, be the back and forth when you're trying to determine a lyric. You could use it as having that conversation, potentially. Use it in structuring emails to your fan base. There are some uses for it. What I think folks are more apprehensive is the creative side of it. But I do think there's a great use for the administrative side of your business, and maybe some back and forth creative work too.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I mean, and I've definitely used it a lot. I use it for coding for the website stuff. I
Hmm.
use it for, stuff that would take me weeks or months to do. I can do now in a night. It's kind of crazy. But just I wanted to share with you a story that I've done recently. I feel like brings a very positive light to AI and music. Was I have a client here in town who's a disabled vet. He's in his 60s. He's been writing since he was 19 or so in the army. And he can't play any instruments because he's missing bones in his hands from battle and war and stuff. Um, and he can't really sing. He can sing a little, but he's not very confident with it. So he approached me about using AI to use his songs and create a voice and create a project for him to be able to release his music and actually get it heard. So basically, I created an AI voice. We use all of his lyrics and used AI to do the production as well, and came up with a whole project for him. And now he's an actual songwriter and having music out in the world. Um, I feel like it was a very positive way to use
Yeah.
it. The next step is I'm gonna try to get him to sing over the AI voice on the next project, but,
And that's a very
it's
creative way to use AI. I love that.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a tool, and you have to figure out how to use it for good. There's always tools you can use for bad, but I feel like if we as creatives, if we stick to things like that, I feel like it's gonna be a good thing in our lives.
Well, it's a tool that's not going away. So I think it is
Right.
important for creatives to find a way to implement it and use it for, like you said, for good as opposed to evil.
Absolutely. What would be some of your goals that you're looking for Folk Alliance to do, in the next coming years?
Well, we are a member-based organization, and so definitely want to make sure that we're serving our members not just during our conference, but year-round as well. There is one of the things initiatives that we started about a couple of years ago. We started talking about an endowment fund for folks, for artists primarily, and then also presenters to bring presenters that are booking music. It's an incredible important part of the ecosystem, and raising money for that. We just this past year launched an artist pilot program. We had $50,000 that we're able to spend, and provided grants to 28, or actually it was mainly travel support for 28 artists, official showcase artists. So we're going to continue that next year and hope to raise money for future years. I'm very excited about that. The cost of the conference can be prohibitive for some folks, and making sure that there's a way for people to continue to invest. And then the reality is, with the current political climate, it's very challenging for folks to come into the US. And this year at our conference, we normally see about 16 to 17% of individuals coming from Canada. Our number was down to about 5.5%. So that's a really large decrease in
Right.
numbers. And then outside of North America, our numbers maybe dropped about 1%. So that was a smaller decrease. But we want to make sure that we're continuing that engagement with folks outside of the US, and continue to make sure that folks remember that we're here, we are supporting each other, we're one big happy folk family. Even if folks can't come into the US, we want to meet them where they are, and make sure that we continue this alignment despite the political troubles that we have here.
Absolutely. What do you see as your next political battle coming up?
That's a tough question. I mean,
I
as an
know.
organization, we have to be careful about what we say or do, in the
Mhm.
sense that when we say have a political response, there's usually a direct rationale for that. For example, when there was cut in public funding to radio and NPR and PBS, there is a direct impact on our artists in that situation. So that's something that we did verbally indicate that we were disappointed in that. Or when they cut NEA funding, we were one of the people that had our grant cut. So I think it's important to continue to advocate in those spaces and make sure that our voice is in a space that makes sense. I mean, it is a weird world. I can see us as an organization saying more when it
Right.
becomes appropriate to do that. But we are run by a 21 member board. So it's important that the board is the one that leads those public statements to represent the organization.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know Reed Wick does a great job, advocating for music up there, so I know he's with you guys as well.
He just cycled off the board, and it is
Oh,
very
no.
sad. I know
Oh,
he
no.
I know. We have term limits. So he did 2 full terms, and he was an appointed director. So he was actually on our board for 8 years, which was amazing. And the great thing about past board members, they'll still stay involved in some level.
Oh, yeah,
We
Reed is
we
always gonna help. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
always
he
yeah.
no matter what, I'm gonna be calling him up, or he's gonna call me up. So, yeah, it's been great. And honestly, his position, and his role with the Recording Academy and the advocacy work that he's doing on a state level in his new position, I think is incredibly exciting, and hopefully our members can engage with that as well.
I agree, I agree. I think he's done some really great things, for advocacy and as well as for the Grammy Association. I feel like he's done a really good job down here. Although I'm on him forever, and so I met Reed, I guess 2013-ish or so. I was doing, music production camps for Grammy Camp at USC, and that's when I met Reed. but I am on him every time I see him. New Orleans has to be its own chapter at some point. We can't
Well,
continue in this Memphis situation. If you want us to be serious, you want to bring the foundation down here, I'll give you free office space. We can make it
I'm
work.
not
Like,
sure if Reed has much control over that now,
no, he
especially since
doesn't, but he's the closest other than Harvey that I have to push for it. So I'm gonna push the gas on him.
well, let me
He
tell
knows
you,
who to
you and
talk to.
I are both part of the Memphis chapter. So Kansas City is a Memphis chapter as well now.
Oh,
So
wow. I did
yeah,
not know that.
yes. So if you're Grammy, I'm a Grammy member.
Yes, yes, we
We're
are. So we're
Memphis
the same
chapter
chapter.
people. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we need to do chapter events.
I know. Well, come to Kansas City. Let's do
I
it.
would
Let's do a
love to come to
party.
Kansas. I would
Well,
love to come to
it's
Kansas.
Missouri, just to be clear, not
Yes, yes. So
Kansas.
funny is that I went duck hunting up there years ago with my dad, and we flew into Missouri and drove to Kansas. I don't know why, but
Because that's the only airport option. So it is one. I mean, really, it's Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas. I actually grew up on the Kansas side for high school and middle school, and now live on the Missouri side. We're one big Kansas, Missouri family.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was fun. I had a great time up there. I had a good time up there.
Good.
Well, so Chicago, this is your how many times have you been to Chicago with Folk
This is
Alliance?
going to be our first time. So
Okay.
I'm excited about it. What I love about Chicago, not only, the deep history of music in Chicago, it's always an added benefit, but the connectivity. Kansas City is not very easy to get to from international cities, nor is New Orleans. You're better than
Right.
Kansas City. But Chicago has a lot of connected flights throughout international, like Europe and outside. So I'm excited for that because we do have a large international base. And I think it's a great opportunity to grow that audience. So yeah, and the hotel is going to be fun. Our private showcase rooms, the ones where we take out the beds, and there's like over 2,000 performances in
That's
80
awesome.
rooms. By the way, it's a
That's
lot.
awesome.
So I think that's going to be really fun to experience because the rooms are all in various sizes. It's in a historic hotel right in the heart of Chicago. I know Chicago's cold, so if you think it's cold down in New Orleans now, it's going to be really cold in Chicago. Just stay in the hotel, don't leave.
Don't leave. Well, you don't have to. The way you
No,
guys
you
do it, you don't
don't.
have to, you
You
know?
don't. Yeah, but it's going to be great. We are going up
I can
in
get a guitar
April.
with my room service, you know?
That's right. Yeah. You probably have to watch that bill though. It's going to get up really fast.
Little mariachi band following my room service, you
There you
know?
go.
But, yeah, no, that's awesome, and, Chicago is great. I've had really good experiences there, and there is a lot of rich history there with music.
Mhm. Yeah. The blues, house music.
Right.
We got a lot of opportunities here, and yeah, we're going to just widen that tent a little bit more as we go into Chicago.
Um, well, great. I think, I really, really am excited about the growth of Folk Alliance, and I'm excited about coming back to New Orleans because I think New Orleans as a whole needs a lot of uplifting moments in the community for music and some help because I just feel like the state and some of the help that these music cities truly give these artists, we don't really get the backing for. So the
Mm.
more advocacy, the better.
Yeah. Well, I will say one of the great things about the state of Louisiana when we came in this past year and in previous years, and I expect it for 2030 and 32, is they did financially support the conference. And
Okay.
yeah, so we were able to give a discount registration for all individuals that lived in the state of Louisiana. So I believe it was like a 50% discount in registration. I imagine that will be a similar scenario for 2030 and 32. What I also loved is learning more, not just about New Orleans, but also the deep culture in the music from Lafayette or from other parts of New Orleans, because there's some great music coming out through your entire state. But I do think coming back to New Orleans, if folks missed it this time, hopefully they'll come join us for 2030 and 32. There is a lot of opportunity, and your city has so much to share internationally as well. And a lot of amazing artists come out of New Orleans. So I hope that we're a value add to your city, and that we can bring people to your city and help in any way that we can.
Absolutely. No, I think it's very New Orleans-esque how you do the festival itself by mashing everybody into one space and forcing you to experience different cultures in a very short time span. And
Yes.
I feel like that's New Orleans as a whole as a whole. I mean, if you walk down Bourbon Street, you're gonna hear different music in every bar that you walk to, and somehow it's a different experience and a different, just a whole different mood, different vibe, different culture, and each different one. And then you switch streets and you get a different one, you know? So
Yeah.
I think it's very New Orleans-esque how you do it. So it's awesome in my opinion.
Well, I'm glad you think so. Again, like the discovery and being able to just walk from floor to floor and hear the various types of music is really special. And I love it. And what I love the most is seeing the joy of the folks like you who attend our conference, and knowing that what we're the amount of time that we're spending putting on this event has value. And I that brings me so much joy.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, you could definitely tell how much care, that you guys take with the Folk Alliance. The whole situation was very welcoming. It was very family oriented, and it felt good being there. So I definitely love it, and I'm looking forward to next time you come through, and maybe hopefully I can make it to Chicago. I'd love to come out.
We'll be in Chicago next year and then back in
Yep.
Kansas City in 2028. So if you don't make Chicago, come visit me in Kansas City. I'll buy you
That
some barbecue or something. I
that
don't
sounds good. I might be coming out for sure. I might be
know.
coming
Good.
out for sure. Well, it was great talking to you today, and thank you so much. You
Yeah.
wanna share maybe some socials and website and where people could find information about Folk Alliance?
Yeah, our website is really easy. It's folk.org, O-R-G. Someone in the 90s grabbed that that website. So we're very lucky to have a four-letter website. So
There you
folk.org.
go.
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X. And we also have a pretty big YouTube channel. There's a lot of content on our YouTube channel. So go to that. We have our awards show. We have keynotes up there, an amazing keynote. Were you there at the keynote? We had Tank and
I did walk in
yeah,
for the end of it. I caught the
yes.
end of it.
So if you didn't get the whole thing, you can go on our YouTube channel and watch the whole thing, and then past years as well. So please join us in all those spaces.
Awesome, awesome. Well, great. Well, thank you for joining us today, and thank you guys for joining us today. And if you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.